Welcome back, class 10, your history class. Continuing with the causes of the Second World War, we have learnt about the first three causes, namely decline of democracy and revival of aggressive nationalism, the Treaty of Versailles, and the fascist movement in Italy. Now, continuing further, Nazis regime an act of aggression. Hitler preached the gospel of the victorious sword. What did he teach? He taught the gospel of victorious sword. He broke the bonds of the Treaty of Versailles and began to build up Germany's armed forces. In March 1936, Hitler made his first move to occupy Rhineland that had been demilitarized by the Treaty of Versailles. So what did he do in 1936? Hitler moved to occupy Rhineland, which was demilitarized by the Treaty of Versailles. He then captured Vienna, the capital of Austria. Soon he turned his attention to the conquest of Sudetenland, which was predominantly inhabited by the Germans. The president of Czechoslovakia decided not to yield to Hitler's pressure. The war seemed inevitable. The president of Czechoslovakia did not want to yield to Hitler's pressure. That means he stood against Hitler. The heads of four nations, Germany, Italy, Britain and France, met at Munich on 29 September 1938 and decided to hand over Sudetenland to Germany. The Czechoslovakian government was persuaded to accept the Munich Pact in the interest of peace. Hitler's troops occupied Sudetenland on 5th October 1938, and in March 1939, Germany invaded the rest of Czechoslovakia without any justification. So this is how Hitler proceeded with aggression. Now comes the policy of appeasement. What is appeasement? Appeasement means not to disturb a powerful party or a powerful country or a government so that that government or that country does not attack you. The policy of appeasement means acceding to, accepting the hostile demands in order to gain peace. That means I will accede all the hostile or illegal demands of another country so that peace can be maintained. There were two main reasons why Britain and France followed a policy of appeasement towards Germany. Why? First, they believed that the Treaty of Versailles had been too severe to the defeated power, especially Germany. They believed that. And secondly, they thought that if genuine grievances of Germany were removed, should be satisfied and would do nothing to disturb the peace of the world. That means if Germany is not disturbed and if the Germany's grievances or complaints, whatever German people had and whatever Germany had, if it was removed, then Germany will not attack or not disturb the other countries. Therefore, they had agreed to transfer Sudetenland to Germany at the Munich Conference in 1938. They did They also did nothing when Hitler began to rearm Germany in complete violation to the terms of Versailles. They saw that Germany was not listening or not following the Treaty of Versailles, but they did not disturb Germany. They followed the policy of appeasement to please German, not to disturb Germany. So that they believe that if Germany is not disturbed, Germany will not disturb others. Anyway, Great Britain and France were mistaken in their assessment. Why? Hitler's demands grew shockingly excessive. His demand started to grow. He was really aiming at European mastery, if not world conquest. The policy of appeasement greatly emboldened, that means gave power to Germany, Italy, and Japan. Germany's ambition was to conquer Europe. Italy aspired to establish her supremacy in Africa and Balkan region, and Japan's ambition was to become the master of Southeast Asia and Pacific Islands. Imperialist ambitions of these three countries plunged the world into another destructive world. Now, another reason comes failure of the League of Nations. One of the main causes of the Second World War was the failure of the League of Nations. When weaker nations appealed to the League to take action against the aggressions or the aggressors, the only weapon that was available with the League was the economic sanctions. But it proved ineffective against the determined aggressors. Had the League of Nations taken collective action against Italy's aggression in Ethiopia or Japan's invasion of Manchuria, the world would have been spared the horrors of another war. So, it was a total failure on behalf of the League of Nations. The League failed to take action against the aggressors, which encouraged Germany to occupy Austria and attack Poland, which ultimately led to the Second World War. Now comes another point, which is a very important cause of the Second World War, was Japan's invasion of China. An important act of aggression after the First World War was the invasion of China by Japan in 1931. China appealed to the League of Nations to declare sanctions against Japan. Britain and France, the leading members of the League, did not give any attention to the appeal. Thus, Japan occupied Manchuria and set up a government there. In 1933, Japan left the League of Nations and started occupying the British and American properties in China. Britain and France followed the policy of appeasement, thinking that Japanese could be used to weaken China. See the politics. How wonderful, I shouldn't use the word wonderful, how delicate, how intricate the politics is. So, invasion of China by Japan invaded China. China appealed to the League of Nations to declare sanctions against Japan to stop Japan. Britain and France, where the leading members of the League, did not pay attention to China's appeal. Thus, Japan occupied Manchuria and set up government there. Japan left the League of Nations and started. What happened is, Japan left the League of Nations and started occupying the British and American properties in China. But Britain and France, who were both very important members, leading members of the League, kept quiet because they thought that Japanese could be used to weaken the power of China. So that is why they kept quiet. See the intricate politics over here. Anyway, next point is ideological differences. Countries such as USA, Britain, and France are known as solid strongholds of liberal democracy. There have been periodic elections in these countries. On the other hand, the political system of Italy or Germany was dominated by one political party. There were no elections allowed in Germany during Hitler's rule. Mussolini himself admitted quite openly that the struggle between the two worlds can permit no compromise, either we or they. Moreover, the Axis states had expansionist aims. Therefore, the war between the two camps was inevitable because ideological differences were there between the two camps. Anyway, now the most important cause, all causes are important, but the immediate cause, Germans' invasion of Poland and demand for Danzig corridor, is considered the immediate cause of the Second World War. Hitler was demanding Danzig corridor for two reasons. First, the city of Danzig was inhabited mainly by the Germans. Second cause was, by occupying the Danzig corridor, he could connect East Prussia with Germany. Britain and France could realize the danger that lay ahead. They pledged assistance of Poland against German aggression. So, then what happened? Russia, which is the former Soviet Union, shared a long frontier with Poland. She could directly come to the aid of Poland in case she was attacked by Germany. Therefore, in August 1939, Germany signed a non-aggression pact with Russia. There was also a secret understanding between Russia and Germany to divide Poland into two parts and distribute these parts among themselves. Poland was accused of committing atrocities against Germans. Atrocities means torture against Germans living there. So, on 1st September 1939, German troops stormed into Poland, and on 3rd September 1939, Britain and France declared war on Germany. Prime Minister Chamberlain made a public announcement that everything he had hoped for had crashed into ruins. Thus, the Second World War began. How it began? Britain and France declared war on Germany. So it started the Second World War. I hope you have understood the causes of the Second World War. So we will continue with the Second World War in our next class. Thank you.